Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of BBP News. I'm Nicholas Rod. Chris Baker's here with me, and we are here for another Friday morning episode. Chris, start us off as we always do with the weather for the weekend.
In Los Angeles, California, it is partly cloudy, 59, with a sunny weekend. In Houston, Texas, it is mostly sunny, 81, with a mostly sunny weekend. And in Chicago, Illinois, it is cloudy, 45, with snow moving in for Saturday morning. And in New York City, it is mostly sunny, high of 54, with a cloudy weekend.
Well, we are here, but, we're in this weird space, right? Where we're between Christmas and New Year's. And I don't know about you, Chris, but I've always felt that the week between Christmas and New Year's is so. I don't know. It just feels like there's absolutely nothing going on. Nothing's moving in either direction, really. It's just kind of like a hanging in the balance type of week.
Here's the thing. I used to love this week because it was a week off from school and I would be able to get a lot of things done,
Hmm.
and it was great. But now that I'm not in school, I do not like this week at all because, just like you said, it's like a really weird week. I mean,
Yeah. It honestly feels like just nothing is moving. Like nothing is changing. No big developments are happening in any realm, news or otherwise. Obviously we have a bunch of news to give you today, but in terms of crazy movements and other than that, like everything's just kind of hanging there, waiting for the
you
new year
know,
to start.
my days are all messed up. I don't know about you, but my days are all freaking messed up.
I mean, my days have been messed up for quite some time now. The only thing that really kept me on any kind of schedule, for the most part, well, two things: a, the podcast, obviously, but also college. College kept me on schedule. In terms of what day it was, and even then, there'd be days where I'd forget completely just what day it was. But now that I'm on break, I'm completely lost.
Well, I have a true story to tell you. So we record, for everyone that doesn't know, we usually record Thursday afternoons, Thursday evenings. And this morning when I woke up, I always wake up and I get ready, look through the news, add anything else to the notes because I work on them throughout the week and everything. And I
Mhm.
woke up and I came flying out of bed and I said some pretty big boy words. And I was like, oh my God, we never recorded and it's Friday. Like, I came flying out of bed.
Oh no. That's honestly funny though, because that kind of thing happens to me all the time. Uh, I have been completely confused all throughout this week as to when we were supposed to record, when, because I keep thinking that it's a day later than it actually is. Kind of like you today, for a split second, I thought it was Friday. Knowing full well we hadn't recorded, knowing full well we hadn't, um, because it is Thursday when we're recording this, like Chris said. For a split second, I got very confused and very worried.
I mean, I flew out of bed and I wouldn't have known it was Friday, Thursday until probably when I sat down at my desk and I saw the date and the calendar in front of me. Luckily, Alexa said, have a good day, Chris, or have a good Thursday, Chris. Thank God.
The only thing that snapped my mind out of it was the fact that I didn't have any new music out today. Because for those that don't really know, who may not know, most new music, uh, in general, but it's especially on Spotify, drops on Fridays. And I pay very close attention to like the playlists that I have that show me all my new music each week. And the only thing that snapped me out of the fact that it wasn't Friday was the fact that there was no new music.
Well, I have to be completely honest with you here. I can't wait until this week is over because then next week it will be a normal work week. Monday through Friday, because Friday most people don't work because of the holiday. And
Mm-hmm.
just I'll be so glad to get back in the groove of Monday through Friday is work, Saturday and Sundays work-ish, but more
Right.
relaxed. I can't wait to get back to it because this holiday, I think, and I also think it's because the holiday is on the weekend that it's messing with me.
Yeah. Obviously that only comes around every once in a while. It's very confusing, and it, unfortunately we're gonna run into the same thing next year too.
Yeah. Well, next year it will be a little bit different, and I think it will work better for me because next year the paid holiday off will be Monday instead of Friday. And
Mm-hmm.
Mondays is usually the day that there's always someone home at my house. Unfortunately, that someone's never me. Um, so so that will be nice. I think that will work in my favor, but Lord only knows what we'll bring by next year. But a weird thought is
Yeah.
this is our final show of 2021.
It is honestly really crazy. We're sitting here on Thursday, and I'm just thinking about the fact, as you say that, I'm thinking about the fact that 2022 is in 2 days. It's in 2 days. It feels so strange because this year, as crazy as it's been, and as much, as with how much that's happened, this year has absolutely flown by.
It
Absolutely
really
flown
has.
by. Thinking of all the major news that has come out this year, all the major events that happened, not to mention I graduated from high school, I started college, like no matter which realm you look at, news or personal life or things like that, things have changed so dramatically, and it's just made this year absolutely fly by.
Well, speaking of everything that went on this year, Nick, this is a perfect segue because we wrote a one beautiful article that sums up the entire year perfectly, if you ask me. A few major events, because a few months, I got to be honest with you, some events I did forget about until I went back and looked at my notes. And then other ones I was like, really? All that stuff happened in 1 month? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Some months were absolutely insane. No doubt about that. Um, there were
Well,
times where everything just seemed to happen all at once.
and I'm really looking forward to 2022. It's going to be a good year, I hope. I think um, it's just going to be a good year all around.
All we can do is hope. All we can do is hope in that sense that 2022 will be a great year, and that everything will go very well there. But if you are interested in reading the article recapping everything that happened in 2021, make sure to jump over to Medium. The link for that, as always, is in the show notes, and go check out that article.
One more thing, tomorrow morning will be the very first news.
The very
Not
first
news,
good
but
news.
yeah, the very first good news of 2022 on the 1st of January. And it's going to be our first show of the year, which we're
That
ending on
that's
a
one.
show.
It's a huge way to kick off. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
me too. Me too. You, you know what? I have the theory here. We're starting out with good news the 1st of January, so that means the whole year is just going to
It's
be
gonna be
great.
a great year. I like it. You know what? I'll go along with you on that ride.
Okay. You know what? I'm glad we came to that consensus because that just clicked in my head as I was saying it that the 1st of January, good news. So that must mean it's going to be a good year.
Great year. But all that being said, we have news to get into. We've rambled long enough. So let's jump in.
Like Nick said, kicking things off, the CDC has updated the CDC guidance for isolation period from 10 days to 5 days for those who are asymptomatic of COVID-19 or who have come in contact with a COVID-19 positive person. The CDC says this change comes after the science says the majority, but not all, transmissibility of COVID-19 occurs during the beginning of the illness, generally between 1 to 2 days prior to onset of symptoms and 2 to 3 days after. The CDC released some information to try and help people understand the new guidance.
All right, so there are a few different scenarios you can run off of. Scenario 1, if you test positive for COVID-19, regardless of your vaccination status, then you should isolate by staying home for 5 days. If you have no symptoms, or if they're resolving after those 5 days, and you no longer have a fever, you can leave your home, but you should continue to wear a mask outside the home for 5 days. Scenario 2, if you were exposed to someone with COVID-19 and you had been boosted or completed the 2-shot Pfizer and Moderna vaccine within 6 months, or the Johnson & Johnson vaccine within the last 2 months, then you should wear a mask around people for 10 days and test on day 5. If you develop symptoms, stay home and test and go back to scenario 1. Scenario 3. If you are exposed to someone with COVID-19 and you are unvaccinated or not boosted, stay home for 5 days. And after that, continue to wear a well-fitting mask around others for another 5 days. If you can't quarantine, you must wear a well-fitting mask for 10 days. Test on day 5, and if you develop symptoms, stay home and get a test. And go back to scenario 1 once again.
The CMS vaccine deadline has just been pushed back, but it does not apply to every state. This is the mandate for Medicare and Medicaid funded facilities. You know this mandate more commonly as the CMS vaccine mandate. The mandate only impacts healthcare workers working in those facilities. According to the guidance from CMS, staff at all healthcare facilities must have received their first dose by January 27th or their Johnson & Johnson, and their second one by February 28th.
This deadline does not apply to everyone. As you told you the week before Christmas, if you live in the following states of Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Louisiana, Montana, Arizona, Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, or Texas, you do not need to comply with these deadlines because federal courts and appeal courts have issued an injunction as these cases continue to play out in the court system. All of what we have told you could change because the Supreme Court is taking up the cases against this mandate next Friday, and you need to remember also that just because they are taking up the case, that doesn't mean there will be a ruling before the deadline has passed.
The Secret Service says over $100 billion was stolen from the COVID-19 relief programs intended to help small business, and there was also stolen unemployment benefits. As of last week, there are currently 900 active criminal investigations across the country in every single state. And the Secret Service says for those who fraudulently collected a PPP loan or a EIDL loan or unemployment in the last few years, the Secret Service Fraud Recovery Department and the entire force of the federal government is coming after that money. The Secret Service says they aren't afraid to use all the tools and surveillance personnel and anything else to get the money back and punish those who stole from the program. The majority of the fraud came from people inappropriately collecting unemployment benefits, and the Labor Department says $87 billion was stolen in unemployment benefits alone.
The Secret Service has arrested 100 people and seized more than $1.2 billion to SDA and unemployment, along with $2.3 billion of fraudulent transactions by simply reversing the fund deposits. This is on top of the 95 criminal cases and another 150 people who are being prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Over $75 million in fraudulently obtained money from the PPP funds. The Secret Service says that this money that was fraudulently stolen was being used to buy real estate and other luxury items. These investigations are ongoing.
President Biden spoke with Vladimir Putin yesterday afternoon, and they discussed the increase of tensions around the border of Ukraine. Since last time the president spoke with Putin, he has pulled out 10,000 troops out of Ukraine, but there are reports saying 90,000 Russian military members still remain. The White House is calling this a moment of crisis with Russia, and President Biden is continuing to threaten sanctions on Russia.
Well, now getting into rapid news. According to the census, 2021 was the slowest population growth rate since the founding of our country.
Home prices surged nearly 18.5% in October, and there's more information about this in a Medium article link down in the show notes.
And finally, former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, will not be facing criminal charges after the investigation into the sexual harassment claims. More on that in an article over on Medium.
Okay, this is the final good news story of 2021. You know, I don't mean to set too many high expectations on you, but what do you have for the final good news story of 2021? I mean, Nick, this is a big freaking deal, okay? This is the final good news story of 2021. Do you feel the pressure?
Honestly, I am pretty confident in my abilities. I've done very well with the good news, I'd say. I was named the king for a reason. Um, but
So sorry.
so I I feel pretty confident in what I can do. I feel pretty confident that I can pull a good news story for this final episode. All right. So the story for today is just someone acting as an absolute hero for this family, because a mother and her infant son were going through the TSA, checkpoint, and a worker who had only been working for the TSA for a couple of weeks noticed that the mother was in a little bit of distress and noticed that her infant son wasn't really, he wasn't breathing. So she literally jumped over the checkpoint conveyor belt and actually ran over and gave the infant the Heimlich, and actually did it twice. The first time there was no response, but she did it again, and eventually the baby started crying, and everything was, everyone was happy, everyone was cheering, and she gives her, her ability to save the child to her 10 years of training as an EMT before she took the TSA job. And she said that she didn't really start even feeling the effect of what she had done until days later, after she started seeing the story in different media outlets and on TV and things like that. But everyone else definitely felt it, because the mother of the son was literally crying, thanking her like crazy. And actually one of her coworkers had run over and hugged her because she was pregnant too. This coworker was, and just, everyone was very thankful and very happy about what happened. And this TSA worker, she said something that I felt was just very impactful, so I wanted to read it here. She said, quote, "Anything is possible. Anything that you put your mind to. Whether it's helping someone else, whether it's your education, you can do it. If you feel that way in the moment, you'll see a different person the way I did, the way I do." End quote.
That's the 10 years of, EMT right there, just to jump over a conveyor belt and give the Heimlich twice and then not even feel the effects of it. I mean, she's a true hero. I could go as far as saying she's a hero of 2021. I am certified to say that because it is the end of 2021.
That's fair. That's fair. We've had so many amazing stories, but including a lot of hero stories, but this one touches my heart for sure. It's amazing, because after she saved the child's life, she just went back to work. She just went back to her shift and finished out her shift like it was, a normal day. Um, and that's the thing, with her 10 years of being an EMT, she understood that, you don't stop your day, you don't change your day because of one major case or one major situation. So she was able to save this child's life and then just go right back to work, and have a completely, you know, otherwise normal day and didn't even feel any effect from it, and didn't realize the impact of what she had even done until days later.
It's just an excellent good news story. It's a great way to wrap out 2021. Excellent job. You took the pressure and you found an excellent good news story with it. So you get to keep your crown for another year, King. Um, but we will be back here tomorrow morning for the very first good news and very first episode of 2022. Make sure you follow us on BBP News' official Twitter account for the latest 24-hour breaking news so you are always in the know. Check out our personal accounts to see what we are up to. But until tomorrow morning, everyone have a great New Year's Eve.
Bye, guys.